So our agenda for today is we're going to get some basic definitions about what SEO is. We're going to talk about what to do. Then we're going to see what not to do. And then we're going to get in and we're going to do some work, some hands-on meta tags, descriptions, alt text. Are you fired up? I'm fired up. All right, let's go. So this is just a quick introduction about me. This is probably the first time a lot of you are seeing me, because usually I'm holed up in my cubicle writing blogs, running SEO analytics. And so the reason that I have an interest in SEO is because I write a lot, because I want our constituents to see my content. And if I can get in and if I can see what our users are searching for, if I can get into the meta tags and help them like really rise up in the search engine rankings, then they see what I'm writing and it helps everybody. So, all right. So what is SEO? If you just type into Google and you ask, what is SEO? This definition pops up. And this is from Webipedia. It's a great website. But this definition kind of makes me feel like this poor cat. It's just optimization, methodology, blah, blah, high ranking placement, SERP. Nobody really wants, no, you don't want that. So this is my own personal definition, and it makes me feel like this cat. So SEO, search engine optimization, is all about creating an overall positive search experience for your user where you help them find what they're looking for and utilize accessibility and best content practices. All right, so moving on. How does a search engine work? We all use Google or Firefox or any other kind of search engine, and we probably don't think twice about it. But the way that a search engine works, the best way that I think to visualize it is kind of either like a spider with all of like, it's not a very pretty image, but all of the legs that kind of like drape around and they kind of like fall over here and they're up here, you know, like uneven ground. Or the subway system, which a little bit better image. So this graphic right here, this is a map of the LA Metro subway system. And as you can see, there are like, you know, really clean lines up here, and then it's down here, and then you kind of get into the middle, and it's a little bit more like technical. But I mean, that's kind of like an overall good image. And so if we were looking at this like it was a search engine and search engine rankings, the ones at the top, those are the most popular. Those are the ones with meta tags, metadata, really popular that people click on, that they visit. And so based on what they find, you know, the results, they're all in order of relevance. So you're not gonna have like a really irrelevant website that nobody goes to. Nobody clicks on the 5th page of Google search results. Nobody does that. So the popular ones are gonna be up at the top. Also, I wanna throw in, being mobile is vital for your website. And like it was already mentioned today, if you're on our Georgia Gov platform, we already did the work for you back a few months ago. So all of our websites are responsive, so you can pull them up on a mobile device and you're good to go. If you're not on our platform, whatever website CMS you do use, you really want to focus on being mobile and really making that a priority, because search engines really care about that. And if you're not mobile, you're not really going to get picked up as easily. All right, let's talk about the tool belt. What do you need in your tool belt? So these are my top 3 that I like to use. Google Webmaster Tools, which is, you can use it in conjunction with Google Analytics, which was talked about earlier. Rank Tracker, which I really like, and PageRank. So we're gonna go into these a little bit more. All right, this is a screenshot from Google Webmaster Tools, and it's more of an SEO focused version of analytics. And so if you have experience with our Drupal platform, this is gonna be really easy to use. It's very self-explanatory, intuitive. If you would like Google Webmaster Tools installed on your website, fill out a support ticket on our portal site, and we can get that up and running for you for your own website. My 3 favorites for this tool are the search analytics section, which is what this is, and then the HTML improvements, which can kind of give you an idea of like how your meta descriptions are doing, if they're too long, if they're too short. And then also the mobile usability. which I really like, because that just helps me keep a pulse on it. It helps me see if we have any hiccups in our data with our mobile usage, with our mobile site. If there's anything that I need to tell anyone else on the team about, this gives me like an overall kind of viewpoint of the mobile. All right, next up. This is just like near and dear to my heart because this is the best tool for my SEO work. This is Rank Tracker. And I would also like to throw in, everything I'm showing you is free. That's another thing. Don't ever pay for SEO. Don't pay for SEO tools. People out there want your money. Don't give it to them. Okay. All right, so what you do with Rank Tracker is you just type in, as you can see at the top, I typed in georgia.gov, and it pulls up the keywords, how our keywords are doing. On the side you can pull up a summary, see what our domain strength is. It really goes a little bit more in depth than Webmaster Tools does. So I like to pull this up every couple days and just get a good pulse on how the website's doing, how the keywords are, what people are looking for, maybe what's not doing so great with our visibility, all of that. And finally, PageRank. All right, so this is just one example of a PageRank checker. There are lots of them. They're all free, at least the ones that you should be using are free. And all you have to do is type in your website, and then you click check PR, which stands for PageRank. And sometimes it'll have a little a little CAPTCHA message that says verify that you're not a robot. It's not spam, it's not out to get you, that's just how the website works. So you can get a good idea of how your website is doing in page rankings. And so the scale is 0 to 10. If you're a 0, I'm really sorry, that's really sad. I don't know if anybody's a 0. If it gives you a 10, please contact me directly because I want to know how you get to a 10. I'm not sure if a 10 is actually attainable, but if it is, let me know. All right, so how do we use these things to climb to the top of the results page? Our Mount Everest, how do we do it? So you've learned earlier that with accessibility, it's a little bit more work, but it's worth it. And that's what I want to convey that to you with our different SEO tactics and meta tags and everything. It's a little bit more work, but it's worth it. So just spend a little bit of time. The things I'm going to show you in just a couple of minutes, the ways where we can go in and fill in these meta tags and descriptions, they're very fast. It's easy. It's not going to take a lot of time out of your day. Also, and this is in all caps because it's very important, it is the title of the GOVTalks today, content. Create fresh content. Search engines don't want your stale content. Nobody's going to want that to go to that nasty subway station in New York with the rats on it and the weird people in the corners. You probably know what I'm talking about. Nobody wants to go there. It's the same thing if you have a nasty, stale website. If you don't update your content, nobody's want to go there. And Google directs people kind of where they need to go. If Google doesn't like you, you're probably not going to be liked by a lot of other people. Also, which you've already heard today, you've heard so much content today, be accessible. SEO is really dependent upon being accessible. Google is incredibly smart. I don't know if you know just how smart it is, but it gets kind of scary sometimes. So Google knows if you're accessible or not. If you have filled in your descriptions and your alt text and things catering to people who have different usability needs, accessibility needs, Google knows that. And if it can see that you don't care about it or you didn't take time to be accessible, it's going to penalize you. It's not going to like you. It's not going to let anybody come to your site. All right, and then finally, try to cater to your users' needs. And one way that I use these tools to try to cater to our users' needs is that I will go through our different analytics and our SEO webmaster tools, and I'll try to see keywords that people are looking for. And if I can see that they're searching for a certain government assistance program or renewing their licenses, nursing licenses were one that popped up recently this month, I will bring that to our editor, Peter Lee, and I'll be like, hey, maybe we should write a blog about this because people are looking for this. So that's just an example of how I use it. And you can do the same. You can feature content on your website that people might be searching for, on and on, up to you. All right, so another way, and a very important factor of SEO, it has its own slide. As you can see, it's so important. Build media relations. And social media can be kind of scary. If you haven't used it a lot, if your organization just recently got it, it may be kind of intimidating. Like, what is a Twitter? How do I twit? I don't know. But don't be intimidated, because it can really, really help you. And just think of it like making friends. If you don't, try to think about like, oh, and you get like panicky and you freeze up and you're afraid to tweet, that's not going to help you. So what you really need to focus on is doing a little bit of what I like to call internet stalking, just a little bit. And try to find social influencers in your field, in your kind of like agency's department. So you can find people who have like the verified check mark on their Twitter account, or you can, if you go to a conference, you can, they usually will project their Twitter handles and their Facebook pages, follow them, reach out to them, just a simple thing like, hey, I saw your talk, I really enjoyed it, just build a little bit of camaraderie, something like that. And then how you can use that is if you tweet out or Facebook post your fresh content, then you could maybe get a retweet from them. So your content is projected to their followers, and that's going to bring you traffic. And let's see. Another thing that you can do is guest blogging. And I really like this guest blogging idea because it helps build almost a community. It can switch you over, cross the lines between public and private sector. If you have information, if you have something, then you approach a private guest blogger and you're like, hey, I think that our information on our website could help you out. Can I maybe give you a guest blog? Or would you like to write a guest blog for me? Then you get to inform a lot of people at one time, which should be our main goal with all of this, is to help the constituents. So you can inform a lot of people at one time, get a lot more traffic, everybody wins. Sharing content, I already kind of touched on that, but with your social media, like Facebook, you can share another agency's, like their posts or their blogs or anything like that. You can retweet anything to get traffic and build good media relationships. Internet friends are the best friends. All right, so we've talked about what to do, what not to do. Oh, I'm sorry. We're about to talk about what not to do. All right, number one, I've said it before. Do not pay for SEO, okay? If you go into your search engine and you're looking up even something harmless like how to help my SEO, Google is, yet again, way too smart. And so the next time that you're on Amazon looking up like a pair of socks or how to buy a Wii, it's going to pop up a little ad from somebody that says, get the best SEO rankings for only $29.95 a month. Are you going to click on that? No, you're not. Or at least you shouldn't. Please don't. So that is what we call black hat SEO. And while there are some reputable companies who really do go about link building and sharing content and all of that, there are still a lot of people who are engaging in this black hat SEO. And what that is, it's called link stuffing, where they'll just put a bunch of phony links on websites and have them point back and forth to each other. They'll just have a lot of like really bad content, useless content. They'll create fake websites that can be pointed back to each other. It's just not, it's not good. And there are still a lot of companies out there that are trying to scam money from people doing this. But Google has gotten very smart. And with every algorithm change that they have, they're picking up on these black hat companies and websites that were built up kind of in a not so great way, and they penalize them. Google does not like to forgive and forget. It will penalize you for like, I think it can go from like months to years. It'll intentionally shoot you down in the search engine rankings. So if you're trying to like go about the whole make a quick buck thing, it's not really gonna help you out. The best way to get good search rankings is to put the time and the effort, good content, good meta tags, keywords. Just go about it the old-fashioned way. All right, also, very important, don't stuff too much content on the homepage. Whenever you're trying to go about your SEO in a good way and you're like, okay, I'm gonna really embrace my content, maybe I should put more content on my website. That's not really the way to go about it either. What's important is to keep in mind what your user is gonna be doing and what they're gonna be looking for, their activity on your homepage. And if you've got too much clutter on the homepage, they're not really gonna know what to do. You need to think of your homepage as kind of, it's almost like walking in like a gate or something. So they need to know where to go. They need to know what they should be looking at. And if you're just trying to stuff a bunch of keywords and content on the homepage, that's not gonna help anybody out. All right, and finally, don't try to have too many pages. More content, more keywords, that's not really how it works. You need to focus on having concise and direct content, intentional, purposeful. Make sure that you're helping your user, your constituent. All right, so are you ready for the hands-on? Yeah? Okay, I see a lot of laptops, tablets, that's awesome. All right, so we are going to log into a training site for GTA. So I'll give everybody a second to pull this kind of long URL up. This is F-A-Y-Z-E, like phase. Phase2.com. All right, and when everybody's logged in and ready to go, pick it up. All right, gonna forge ahead. All right, so once you are logged in, so this is your login, we're going to click on either my workbench or you can click on add content. Then you'll click on blog entry. I'm actually going to pull up a blog entry that I created just for our demo purposes. Editor, E-D-I-T-O-R, capital E. Okay. So whenever you click on the blog entry under the add content, you should have one that looks kind of like this, but blank. So I just filled this in for demonstration purposes. This text is actually from a blog that I wrote on Georgia.gov. But I just wanted something for us to walk through. All right, so up here, you've got your title, which is required, of course. And then underneath the author block, you've got the body, and then next to that, you see where it says Edit Summary. So the summary is important, and you do have to kind of go looking for it a little bit. So once you click Edit Summary, you're going to have this box pop up. And the point of a summary is it's going to be the first thing, it's going to be the line that is pulled up as a description for this blog entry. So whenever you post it, this is what will pop up on the homepage or in the blog listing. So what you want to do is you just want to have a very, yet again, short, concise, clear description of what the blog is about. It can be 1 to 2 sentences. You don't want it too short, like a couple of words, but you just want a good sentence about it. So since this blog that I wrote was about new interstate express lanes, I just said Georgians can expect new lanes on the major interstates. So this will kind of give the user an idea of what the blog is about besides just the title, New Interstate Express Lanes. So let's go down. All right. And the next thing that we're going to look at is the synonyms. And synonyms are going to help directly within your website whenever people go to search within your search engine block on the homepage. And so what's good to think about is just to put yourself in the shoes of the user and to just think, okay, what words or keywords or phrases could they use whenever they're trying to find this particular piece of content that I've written. So for this interstate one, we could do interstates. We could also type in express lanes, just things that are going to help the user, like help your search engine kind of get a little bit smarter and figure out what your user might be looking for. All right, next up, we are going to look at the meta tags. All right. So meta tags, for our general purposes, if you're using a CMS, a meta tag is something that you're going to fill in kind of like this, where it's in a box. But if you were like a true developer, a meta tag can get kind of complicated with the HTML code and different things like that. But for our purposes, these are some of the general meta tag areas on Drupal, and probably in your CMS if you're using WordPress or anything. So right here, the abstract, how I like to describe the abstract is, if you recall back to high school or college, whenever you were reading a really long research paper and it was like upwards of 25 pages, you probably had an abstract, and it's kind of a longer description on the front page of the document, and it's a longer, more descriptive summary of what the content is going to be about. So a lot of people don't use the abstract box right here just because their content isn't quite long enough to warrant it. But if you do have a really, really long, like a press release or like a really long document, and you want to be able to give your user an idea of what they're getting into before they totally jump in, then you're going to want to fill out the abstract. All right. And then quickly, let's take a look at alt text, which Kendra kind of showed us like a really good overview of it. And I put in an image, kind of big and unsightly. This isn't how you would want any of your blog entries to look, but I just wanted an example for us to look at. So right here, this is the image, and we can double click on it. And if you're putting in an image, then you're going to click on this little landscape where it says image, if you were just adding one. All right, so the alternative text, it's just, I just said cars next to each other in a parking lot. If this image were really important to the content that you were writing about, you could get a little bit more descriptive, like if it was a person's car, if it was like a state patrol car, anything like that. But these are just general stock image, cars sitting in a parking lot. And so even little things, I know it kind of seems like really like that's it, like these are just little boxes that we fill out, but a little bit, it's going to add up. A little bit goes a long way. These little details that you can pay attention to, and that you can just take a minute to just sit yourself down and fill out some of your meta tag boxes. It's really going to help your website pop up in search engine rankings. It's going to help your constituents find what they need, and overall, everybody wins. So that is all I have for you. I want to thank you again for walking with me through this. I'm sorry we had some issues with the URL, but also in my presentation, I've added in some short definitions that could maybe help you as you're trying to go through this on your own. And this presentation will be included on our follow-up blog post, which will be on our portal website. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for coming out to GovTalks. Really appreciate it. And have a wonderful day. Give it to Nikhil.
Good job, Rachel. All right, this concludes our GovTalk content event. Thank you again so much for coming over. Just like any other GovTalks, we will have a wrap-up of today's event, and we'll post videos and slide decks on our portal interactive website. So be on the lookout for an email from us. We will send everyone, a newsletter. And if you are not on the newsletter and you want to be, just make sure you catch one of us and let us know. If you don't know the portal website, the interactive website, it's portal.georgia.gov. And click on the interactive part of the website. We have a bunch of content up there. We do a weekly blog post on various topics. You can search by topics. We have some web guides that specifically address some of these issues, like accessibility or mobile. So feel free to explore that website. It's been great having you all, and I want to thank our partners today, Site Improve, and Colleen Jones, who was gracious enough to come here and talk everyone, Lisa, Janek Newman, and April O'Neill. Of course, thanks to the Georgia Gov team for putting this together, this event. Just like any other GOVTalks, it was hopefully a smooth sail for everyone. I do want to thank one last time Pooja Barong for leading this effort and making sure all the GovTalks in the past have been really successful. Pooja is going to be leaving us pretty soon. And she's going to move on to greener pastures and better opportunities, and we wish Pooja all the best. But this is her last GovTalks that she organized and coordinated. But we'll be happy to kind of keep an eye out and follow her accomplishments wherever she moves on to, and hopefully in the future invite her as a industry speaker for GOVTalks. So Pooja, you did a great job again. So take a bow. And thank you again, everyone. If you have any questions about anything that has been discussed today, if you want any help for your website, for your agency, by all means, just find one of us and talk to us. Thank you.